November. Significant day, 19 years ago. I got married. There you go, 19-year wedding anniversary. Just thought I'd slip that in. And unlike last year, my wife and I, we remembered it. We actually remembered it in advance. So we'll do something special this evening. Completely irrelevant to the markets, isn't it? I tell you what, 2003, I was trading my backside off in the markets. Just coming out of a bear market. Go Google that. March 2003, just coming out of a bear market. Not dissimilar to the one we're having now. The content of this presentation is general in nature, has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances or particular needs. So before acting upon any of this, consider it carefully or seek the help of a financial professional. The rest of the information in that disclaimer is important. You should read it very carefully or find out or consult, I should say, our product disclosure statement, which you can get from our website. Very important. Otherwise, over to you. Let us get the questions rolling in the question and answer window. I'll try and give you the answers. I'll give you my best technical and fundamental reader. Welcome to everybody who's joining me live stream on Twitter. Welcome to everybody who's joining me live stream on the YouTube as well. I do have your comments and questions loading up as I speak. Give me 1 second, maybe 3, and they will appear. And I can see your chats now. I know there's a little bit of a delay to the YouTube stream, but I've got you. Okay, first up, let's go with Iluka. And look, I've left my image over there. There you go. I've broken my golden rule, which is to change the bloody screen. Anyway, we'll persevere. Before we do Iluka, let us do a quick whip around the grounds. Major markets, where do we think they're going? Interested to hear where you think they might be going. Where do I think they're going? I think until the NASDAQ gets above this dark pink zone, I don't think we can get too excited about a developing bull market. Oh, yes, I said it, a developing bull market in the Dow Jones Industrial Average and potentially over here in Australia. So you can see this immense move here in the Dow 30, the 30 biggest stocks in the world. Let's not just say, on the US markets, but in the world. And most of it juiced by big, stop doing that. There we go. There we go. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to click on this again, and it's still there, and I'm going to fix it. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. So 30 biggest, most liquid companies in the world: McDonald's, Coca-Cola, these in there, United Health Group, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Apple's in there as well, to be fair, some sort of newer age companies as well. But they're big, they're liquid, and we can see what a move that's had. It's pulled back to the all-important long-term downtrend ribbon. Wasn't much of a long-term downtrend anyway, isn't it? I mean, it's been the mildest decline out of any of the major indices globally. It's held. This is what we're looking for. This is how long-term downtrends turn back into long-term uptrends. Early stages, but we need to get above the ribbon. We need to hold it. We need to get going again. It's still early stages of the quote-unquote get going again, but with the candles we've seen over the last 2 sessions, let me zoom in for you, I think pretty impressive demand side showings. Different from perhaps at this time here, because we had a very quick wipeout back into the long-term trend. Look, that might still happen, but I think the probability of a wipeout like that is diminishing. Certainly if we can crack above this high here, that high is say 33.071. Closing above that, and it's going to start to challenge this level here. I would say for all intents and purposes, that's starting to show changing of the trend. And then we go further out the risk curve. So for example, the S&P 500, which has a bit more of a mix in it in terms of certainly blue chip stocks, but going out the risk spectrum. You can see it hasn't done anywhere near as well. It only barely had a look at the long-term downtrend zone, came back far more sharply, and then you would hardly say is turning its long-term trend. And then we go even further out the risk spectrum, and then the NASDAQ extremely flat indeed, nowhere near that. In fact, the NASDAQ has struggled to deal with its short-term trend zone. Forget the long-term trend zone that you need to change the bear to a bull. It hasn't really even dealt with the short-term trend zone. So until the NASDAQ gets going, I'm not going to get extremely bullish, but I'm also conceding, and there's that word, conceding, really, as a bear in a bear market, not because I'm a belligerent bear, but just because the trends are down mostly. conceding that this rally is starting to gather some momentum. This is the ASX 200. It's far more similar to the Dow Jones, isn't it? But it is, as you know, as a weighted index, is heavily skewed to our financial companies. So having a quick look there at how well they've performed, and that is where a lot of these benchmark points are coming in. And then of course our materials companies, which I know that doesn't look as good, but geez, they've held up well in the face of some pretty terrible global macroeconomic news, and you know, major you know, research organizations and central banks, you know, just slicing off expected growth over the next 12 months, and they've held up. So that, and I would say that is definitely juicing this here. And again, I do think it's a lot about this idea of mandated investing. So we keep earning money, we keep putting a portion of that through guaranteed super in this country into the stock market. It has to go to the stock market. 40, sometimes 50% of it in your typical balance fund goes in there. Just average, everyday, honest workers. So the funds need to invest, and they will try and do it not only index wide, but for the ones who are more active, they'll try and find the most liquid blue chip stocks they can find instead of going further out the risk curve. So further out the risk curve, discretionary, look, to be fair, that's starting to look a little bit better, and technology, they're the ones that are further out the risk curve. And you can see technology in particular not looking very good. So very interesting there. I'll just take you for a quick look around the commodities, and I'm going to go just have a look at a couple here. We have seen a pullback in the US dollar, which has helped. So you can see those last two candles, which has helped things like copper rally. Look at that last couple of candles there on copper. Nice rally there. Iron ore also. That's iron ore in Shanghai, and then iron ore in Singapore getting a little bit of a leg up. Nickel is an interesting one as well. I know it's hard to see there, but you can see when I go to the line chart, a little bit of a tick up on, say, nickel. Coal, coking coal is still heading higher. Thermal coal, however, this is an interesting chart probably for us today to see that I think thermal coal now starting to break down. It's starting to break through that long-term trend zone. That long-term trend zone was not support. We're getting through that. So, you know, a move to say 300, a rally back up to 340 if you get one, and then a failure there would say that this long-term trend in thermal coal is over. You heard it first here. Natural gas futures in Europe trending lower, natural gas futures in the US, though getting a little bit of a pop-up, but largely I think to do with the reversal in the US currency over the last little bit, but it is heading higher. And I think energy, the other part of the energy equation there with crude oil is looking stronger as well. I could see this probably moving back close to at least 100, I would suggest. Let's have a quick look at uranium, because I know there's a lot of uranium bucks there. I'm going to be doing a bit of a uranium special on the call tomorrow with Koshi on Ausbiz, and that one's not looking so good, so that's a little bit disappointing. I'm curious, so I haven't looked at this chart for a little while. Lumber, I mean, if the US economy is going to turn around, if the housing market there, which I think is in real trouble, is going to fix itself, this would have to turn around. It's not, but it's not making new lows either. And I'm just curious now, so I just want to see the price of wheat just to give me an idea of that sort of food commodity inflation picture as well. Okay, let us head to, look, like I said, a bit of a whip around the ground gives us a little bit of perspective for what's going on today. And let us have a look at what's going on today, firstly with Iluka. And you know my philosophy on investing, if it's double green, if it's short-term uptrend, long-term uptrend, we're looking to buy. We've got the traffic light system. So when it starts to go orange, you can see something's broken with the trend. Something's changed. It's just not that, you know, relentless upside momentum where demand is overwhelming supply. It's just a bit ho-hum. And then you get kind of this supply pattern here where, you know, this big hopeful rally ended up failing again. A major peak, don't forget, I'm pretty sure I talked about this. In fact, I did talk about this last week, how you identify these major peaks and to find when the major peaks are falling. This is a great indicator that a long-term uptrend is coming to an end. Don't forget the major peaks, like we've just got normal peaks. We know that we've got normal peaks all the time. They're all over the place, but the major peak is the one that has two lower peaks on either side, right? And then you'll find you get something like this, and you can, hopefully now you can spot these major peaks. And another word would be, another way to describe it is point of supply. How do I know it's a point of supply? Look what the price did there. So let's call it an MPOS, right? And an MPOS, right? And when this second MPOS is lower than that first one, you know that this trend is under real pressure. And by definition, think about this, by definition, you must have an MPOD between those two MPOSs, okay? It's impossible not to. here's the dealio. And I've actually taught you this as well, haven't I? I've taught you this with this pattern just with the normal ones, all right? So when you get something like this, all right, with just the normal points of, call that a point of supply, call that a point of supply. When you have the lower point of supply, you, by definition, you must have the PID. And we've been talking about this point here as a short-term trader looking to do this minus 1/3 and, you know, manage our exit, right? But these patterns, there are patterns within patterns, as you would expect. And, you know, you can extrapolate that out to here. And if you didn't want to trade on the short term, for example, let's say you're trading for a self-managed super fund, you say, look, I'm not going to jump at every little shadow that's in the market, Carl. But I think you kind of have to really take this seriously. So when you get beneath, say, this point here, that's when, even as the longer term investor, you have to kind of get the message and start to get out. Okay. And I'll just finish off the labeling here. I like to hopefully teach you one new thing each week. Maybe this is this week's thing that we're learning. And just to finish up the labeling there by saying, look, these are just the normal points of supply. And likewise, you've got normal points of demand in here. And hopefully you can now look at a chart like Iluka and just spot very clearly where those just ordinary points of supply and demand are, and then where those major ones are. So look, I would say here is a big problem. And having said that, you'd have to go do all the work, but you know, probably down here is the key one between them, and definitely beneath there. I think Iluka is in major trouble, but I don't think you want to wait that long. Look, price action is wonderful, but the moving averages, I think, summarize all of that price action. It's great if you can do price action, but if you can't, that's what the moving average is for. That's my thinking. That's my whole thinking by bringing my trend ribbons into the equation. Because I started out just doing price action. I think, well, okay, well, if I want to get through 1,000 charts real quick, I can't do price action on all of them. And you need something that just kind of just dumbs things down. Now, it's a little bit slower to respond than price action, but I think what you lose, I guess, in sensitivity, you make up in ease and ability to get through a big list very quickly. Bottom line is, let's look at the moving averages, tell us what they're doing. Is this a picture of demand? Is this a picture of people falling over themselves to be involved in this company? Is this a picture of people who don't want to supply? They're holding onto those shares because they truly believe that that is the best place for their money to be? Or are they saying, you know what, I'd rather be in cash right now. You know, I'm just not sure about the global growth equation. I'm annoyed that you know, I've seen the price not get up to those highs. I can feel that momentum is changing, and I'm more likely to be a supplier tomorrow than somebody who's a holder. And I think that's what Iluka is in a picture. So let us use some of these learnings to give us a quick picture, a quick snapshot. We can just go boom and give this a score. I don't want to try and do things, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, cop out of things and just be able to do things very quickly today. But I think we can do this pretty quickly and say, look, we wouldn't have buy on the table. So in terms of, you know, whether buy for me on Iluka is 0%. Hold, well, I think the idea of hold is quite tenuous. I think, you know, I might be on the basis that maybe it hasn't taken that out, on the basis that, you know, no, oh geez, and that's me being generous. And then you have to go, well, sell is the balance. And I just think on balance, that's kind of where I'm at with Iluka. So I'm sorry, Amelia, if that doesn't help you feel confident in your holding, if that's what you've got. And please be aware, and I say this every week, I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm only working on the balance of probability and experience, and I do feel it's unlikely. I mean, I think we're at these sorts of odds to go up there. I think we may be at 20% odds to go about here, and we're at a hold. And I think that the balance of probability suggests that at some stage in the next 6 to 12 months, Iluka will be lower than where it is right now. And I just want to bring up one that I think is quite relevant today, which is JamesHardie. And I flagged this probably about a month ago, maybe somewhere around here, as a short trade, simply because of my lack of confidence or my bearishness on the US housing market. And this one was no surprise to me today. And I think, you know, in terms of where it is compared to where Iluka is, you know, is it somewhere around here? Is that where it is? And you might say, well, Carl, you know, Iluka is so different from JamesHardie. They're nothing the same. I get it. I get they have different fundamental drivers to these charts, but at the end of the day, people respond in the same way to those drivers. Either those fundamentals are getting better and more people want to buy and fewer people want to sell, and you've got the double greens, or the fundamentals are getting worse, and then that balance shifts towards where more people want to supply and fewer people want to demand. And I think, you know, I have to be careful what I say here, but I think you want to tune your brain out of trying to figure out all those fundamental drivers and just simplify and just look at these trends. Let us keep moving. Novonix for now. Look, I do have this, and I don't know what the demand is out there, but I managed to fix this. So let me just very quickly do this. Change the screen. Let's have a look at the Iluka fundamentals, and I'll just you know, I think there's some value. Just look at the broker estimates there. We've got 8 estimates, 5 buys, 4 holds, and I tell you what, you know, who's selling it? Because somebody's starting to sell this thing, all right? And you won't get it here. That's the problem. And look at that. The brokers are telling you there's 20% upside. What I'm concerned about is this line here, the EPS line, where, you know, compound annual growth rate of minus 29% over the next 3 years, as in its current earnings per share peaked out there at 74.5 cents, and yet by December 2025, yes, it's going to be only 56 cents. So well, actually goes up, to be fair, goes up and then comes down. In fact, because this is last year, this is just the way the year end, that this is really the most relevant one. So here's your peak. So obviously we're a month away from completing this, and these are forecast numbers. And then you can see this will be the peak. And then we are going to have less than half of the earnings. Okay, these are 8 brokers, your Goldman Sachs's of the world, your Macquarie Banks, your Credit Suisses, your UBS, okay? And if I'm just saying in general, because I don't want to get in trouble with any of them, they may or may not be in there, but they're the likes of them. And they are telling you that the earnings will be less than half in a few years. So this doesn't excite me, okay? And maybe this is why the chart is starting to turn around a little bit. Okay, let us keep moving as I change the screen back and have a look at Novonix. Look, the history of Novonix is I've called it a long all the way up. Go check my Twitter feed. I called it a short pretty much all the way down. And I've said probably for the last 3 months, it is a stock I very, very much want to own because I love the story. I don't like the story. I love the story and I want to own it. I just have to find the right price. And some people say, Carl, you should just bought it. If you liked it that much, why don't you just buy it at $1.65? And I always said, look, I didn't know it wasn't going to keep going down at that stage. But I've seen some great things. Some great things happen since then in terms of the volume that's come in, the interest and the price action. I'm just waiting for that next candle. So this one is for David. I'm just waiting for the next candle to get it going again, David. And you'll know what that candle looks like because you've heard me talk about it many times. I kind of hope it's not that big, so I don't want to give up too much. But certainly if you get towards the end of the day, David, and it's starting to look quite juicy, as in something which looks like this. Let me zoom in. And you know what I'm going to do here if you've been watching me long enough. I can see you over there on the YouTube stream. I'll get to your question next. And let's go, I did that wrong because I'm not concentrating. Here we go. So David, if you see that, you know, that's where I'm going to get involved. And yeah, when you get a candle that big, I'd probably go more than just a third. But I was about to say, look, you know, you can always step into this as well. Okay. But I don't think you need to be in it right now. I think like it's on notice, and let's just wait for the next signal. The other candle you might see, and I will draw it now because I think it's valuable to do these things at the start so I don't have to draw them 1,000 times during the presentation, is this candle here. So I'll copy and paste that because it'll just be quicker. And we move that down and it's going to have a lower shadow like that. And because it is very hard to draw in Amy Broker, let me do that and it will look like that. Okay, so either of those candles I would want to see. Okay, let us keep moving on. I won't do Novonix because it's not making any money just yet. There's no point kind of looking at those fundamentals. Let's look at Wesfarmers, which is starting to look quite interesting, actually. I wouldn't say it's a buy yet, but certainly, I mean, why is it not a buy? Okay, we're still here. We're still dealing with this. And you might say, hey, Carl, you know, boohoo to your moving average ribbons, you know. Why would I bother? Why would I look at that rubbish? You know, you think you know it all. And I say, well, you know, well, you know, come on, really? And then when you break and you look, you broke here, right? You tested, you failed, and then it's all over Red Rover. So I'd say, look, just keep an eye on them. Okay, you don't have to use them as gospel, but I think you want to respect them just a little bit. So look, if we can get above here, come back, hold, and do that, a bit like that Dow Jones pattern, then I'll be the first person to say, hey, look, Wesfarmers has turned around, and you'll say, hey, Carl, you idiot. Why didn't you tell me to buy it at $40? You didn't like it until I got to 48. I could have saved $8. And I say, hey, that's because at $40, I didn't know it was going to bounce. But here, the demand has shifted, the supply shifted to the point where I'm happy to get involved. And it's got a bit of work to do, doesn't it, Chris? So very interesting to compare and contrast maybe the Iluka one, where I think I was quite bearish on, and I said, well, there's no buy case. Look, buy, you really are anticipating, aren't you? I mean, you really are anticipating that it's going to do those things. Hey, it might. The broader index is getting better, broader index is getting better, and this is one of those key blue chip stocks that the fund managers will buy first, right? And only when they feel really safe about everything, the economy turning around, the global economy turning around, will they buy the risky stuff. Okay, so it's probably will benefit first. I'm more on a hold here. I think there's more than enough in reason there to hold it. Let's say, I don't know if that's 40%, and then the sell, because the overall trend is probably still at 55%, right? But it will shift. These numbers will shift quickly if it can do those things. Let us very quickly look over here. Don't panic if I haven't got to your stock. I will now that we've laid a lot of this groundwork, pick up the pace, and we will look at the Refinitiv icon numbers here for Wesfarmers. 14 estimates, so widely covered. One strong buy, 5 buys, 4 holds, but quite a polarizing company. In fact, it's pretty rare you see a company this polarizing. So there are 4 sells and 1 strong sell. Actually pretty modest there with the upside on their targets, which is unusual in a bear market because normally broker targets don't get adjusted down and they tend to be really high. This EPS line is not terrible. So you can see, compare and contrast this to say Iluka, and maybe that's why Wesfarmers is looking a bit better on the chart, because the big fund managers know this. Maybe you don't know this. Maybe the people you talk to in the chat room, Facebook chat room, maybe they don't know this, but the brokers know this, right? They know Iluka's earnings are going to decline. They know that Wesfarmers is going to deliver pretty decent growth. 6% is modest. It's probably around sort of market. And in terms of my valuation, if you're curious, well, I need to get the right PE. You're paying 22 times. If you pay 22 times this year earnings, past tense, you're paying about that next year. Is there enough growth in the business to justify a PE of 20? I don't believe so. I don't feel comfortable paying 20 for PE, for 20 PE for a company with 6% growth. Risk level, I'm happy to go low. It's Wesfarmers. It's diversified, defensive, whatever you want to call it. But in terms of, so this is based upon the broker estimates. It's still saying it's too expensive. But I personally, for me, I mean, I wouldn't pay more than 15 for a PE, and then you're getting some really crazy overvalued numbers there. But that would put me more in this camp. Okay, that it's not right or wrong. There's no right or wrong in fundamental analysis. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It just puts me in this area. It doesn't put me in this area. And other people will say, hey, you know what? Wesfarmers is so much quality. 25 is what I'd pay. Okay, and if they type that number into this cell, and this is how fundamental analysis works, everyone. Yeah, you think they're all geniuses and they've all got it worked out. At the end of the day, it comes down to a spreadsheet with cells, and they put their assumptions in those cells. Okay, they've got the base data, and then they put a number in a cell, and it changes this fair value to then put them somewhere else on this spectrum. Okay, I just view Wesfarmers in a very different light because I think that is quite anemic, that growth. Hey, it might be better than, say, Iluka, but it's not. I wouldn't pay up for that. Why am I paying up for that? Okay, let us go back to here and do, I might, look, if I've got time, I'll come back to that second one, Chris. This is a different Chris now. Sayona, hey everyone. Sayona, is it a buy? I don't think it's, I think we're skewing more back to the hold case, Chris, but I'm not sure if it's a buy. Here we go, Tour de Lithium. We have to do it, don't we? The customary Tour de Lithium. And the reason why I think it's important to do the Tour de Lithium when the first lithium stock comes up is because you want to check your lithium stock against all the other lithium stocks. Is anybody paying attention to your lithium stock? So let us start at the top and work our way through. I would buy this before I bought Sayona, okay? This looks amazing. I'm absolutely 100% a hold on Pilbara Minerals. there have been some showings of supply, but I still think higher peaks, higher troughs through here. We are compressing within a little bit of supply zone. I respect that, but this is certainly a hold for me. I think it's borderline buy. I think it's kind of looking that good. It looks very good. So hold / buy for Pilbara, no problems at all. Where shall we go next? I think I'm hold on that one. I'm not sure if I'm a buy because this looks a bit frightening to me. Confirmed by that. We made lower troughs through here. That's a little bit frightening for me. So until we deal with this 80 zone well and start to make high troughs again, don't worry about high peaks, we're compressing within the zone, that's okay. But so we start to make some high troughs again, I won't be going hold / buy on this, but I'm certainly hold. I'm not hold / sell like I was on Iluka, if you get my drift. Let us keep going. IGO. Or I think I'm still a hold on this one. Again, I don't like this. Don't get me wrong. I don't like this. And if you wanted to, manage your exit by doing a third based upon that and that alone, and the fact we went to lower troughs, not complaining. What we're looking for really here is how we perform against that point of supply. All right. So this is how we perform here. And again, if we can do some good stuff in here, remember that the white candles I drew, so white bodies or lower shadows in here, I think we're okay. But I'm happy to go hold on that one, but not as good, for example, as Pilbara. And then let's go to say Liontown, which I think looks pretty good. We know that this area here, I've said before, this is the key. I mean, this is going to make or break Liontown Resources, and I have been a bit skeptical about it because it's so significant, and we have seen some supply come in there. But last few days, I think bouncing off this short-term trend zone is okay, and this old supply zone acting as demand, I think, is okay. So I'm definitely a hold on that one. I'll be the first person to go over here and say, hey, sell all your lithium companies, but I'm just not seeing it in those charts right now. Let's do CXO. It's a bit like Liontown because we've talked about, I think, the importance of this area here and this area here, and really we are just dealing with those. But I'm certainly a hold on that one. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. Allkem, how could I forget Allkem? I still think it looks very solid and is more likely to go up than it is to go down. So I'm a happy holder on that one. And then let us head back to Sayona because I think we need to end it somewhere. And it does give us a great comparison, doesn't it, as to whether this is the one you want to hold / buy. I think it's in the hold camp, but it's, if it gets beneath this zone here, let me show you, then it's probably more on the hold / sell camp, or just the straight out sell camp. There is some supply in here, and you've seen we've done lots of scratchings on this, trying to figure out the price action we need to see before we would look to buy. And the last time I think was around here, where I said you need to see this sort of price action. So we test the supply. Here's your little supply zone right in here. Don't muck around with that supply zone. There's some serious supply there, and it's just been reinforced, isn't it? So it's going to have to get some more, it's going to build up the army again, isn't it? The army of demand. It's going to have to come in here. It's going to have to test this, do this stuff, and get through it. I'm just really drawing the same thing again, isn't it? Because until you see that price action, I don't think you need to be focused too much on what Sayona is doing. Let us have a look at SFR, Sandfire, which I have been quite bearish on this one, to be fair. And to be fair, it has been coming down. I've given you some odds in the past, somewhere around here, perhaps. Maybe it was in this zone. I don't know where I drew these, but 75 to go down, 15 to be steady, and then 10 to go up. Look, it's probably done both the 75 and the 15. It certainly hasn't done the 10. Having said that, I don't mind this. There's a little bit of support coming in here. It's quite consistent. It's quite vigilant. But it's not knocking my socks off because it needs to do so much more, doesn't it? Think about this for a long-term buy, and this will frustrate people. Say, hey, Carl, Sandfire's amazing. It's got so much copper. Like, this thing has got the copper. It's got everything the world needs to make electric vehicles. And you really shouldn't give it such a hard time. And I said, I'm only giving it a hard time because the market doesn't like it. As soon as the market starts to like it, I'll be its biggest fan. Don't get me wrong. But it just needs to do a lot more work before I'm going to become a fan of this one. Do I look at this? Hard to do. It's hard to do these ones because the brokers are working on the basis that these things have hit peak earnings. and that earnings are going to decline significantly. So you can see here we've got 15 estimates. This is widely covered. That actually surprises me. There's more brokers covering this than Wesfarmers. It is polarizing again though, but you'd say skewed to the buy side. 26% upside. Yeah, and I look at that and I just chuckle a little bit. But let's look at the earnings line. So we've peaked, 21, we peaked 22, almost half, and then you've got negative for some reason. These aren't my numbers, so don't shout at me. But actually coming back, well, actually net, there is some growth in there. There is some growth in there, whatever's going on at the copper mine there, which the name escapes me. But let's just use straight up broker numbers here. 7.5, well, for that sort of craziness, probably about right. And see, I don't think you can go low here. I think global economic outlook, you'd be crazy not to do moderate, right? I mean, you probably should do high, right? But let's just say, let's be so generous and say moderate. I think it's actually looking cheap because I don't think this is a really demanding PE. So there you go. So, okay. This is the moderate that I was talking about. This is the PE, which I don't think is very demanding, 7.5. And here is the peak earnings, and then coming down to this, don't shout at me because these are not my numbers, they're broken numbers. And then we're going back up to here to give us actually some pretty reasonable growth. I would certainly pay 7.5 for that growth. And there's your 15 broker estimates, and there's your spread, and there's your price target just to catch us up. And now that we're caught up, we'll go back to here. And I'm going to do some from the YouTube stream. This one is for John. Hello, John. And John wants to talk about CXO, which we've done, haven't we? We've talked about CXO. I'll give you another 30 seconds on it, John. I think it looks reasonable, okay? I mean, it's not here, is it? It's not here. This is when things are awesome. Look at the shadows, look at the candles, look at the consistency, look at the angle of attack, look at the fact it's holding the short-term trend. This is all good. Here, it's hard work. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is hard work. I think there's every reason to hang on to it on the basis that if we can break through this stuff here, we may get back to this sort of price action again, okay? This is all holding. This is all good. These were talked about. If we break through those levels, that's what you would be doing. So don't panic. If you see those, don't think I'm saying to get out. I'm saying if we were to break those levels, then you would be behaving in that way. But otherwise, I'm happy with a hold on that one. LRS... LatinResources, look, I think it looks pretty solid. It's a little bit like the Sayona chart there, isn't it? Where it's a hold-ish, but not buy at this point in time. And we are dealing then with some supply. And I'll be more than happy to pop up here and say, hey, everybody, I think you need to be buying this one. I just don't think it's the case. And we do need to see. There we go. These are the candles we need to see in here to get us going. But not an exciting one for me, unfortunately. And RGL, ditto on that one. So RiversGold, need to see a little bit more spark to the upside. It's not terrible at all, but I just don't think it's got that mojo, that spark about it at this stage. Let us go to Adonis. Hello, Adonis. Pilbara, I think Pilbara looks really interesting right now. I mean, as we get through the session, we see more charts, you get to see which ones really stand out. And then AMP, which is looking very good as well. There you go. So this is one, I tipped it a few months ago, didn't I? And said, well, I can't believe it, but AMP actually looks like a buy. And it's going up. How about that? So, there's that turnaround play, the things that need to happen. A great little case study here. I'll let you go look at it in your own time, but you can just see how solid that short-term trend is. And I think it was around about here when I started talking about it on the call. I think with Koshi, I came up and I said, look, I think you probably want to buy it. To be fair, it went back down for a little bit, but it changed the trend. Look, it changed the trend, and this trend now is going back to support, and the short-term trend is supporting. I think it's going to be really boring though. I think this is a slow trudge. Imagine slow trudge. Maybe it gets back to 150. But certainly, if you like boring, sometimes boring is beautiful for people, then I've got no issues holding AMP. And if you're that kind of person, potentially even buying it. I'm going to change the screen in a second. I don't even want to do this one, so I'm just curious. I honestly have no idea what's going to come up here. We do have 7 estimates. And that would have been 14 or 15, 20 years ago when it was quote unquote blue chip. And I think a lot of brokers just stopped covering it. 1 strong buy, 4 holds and 3 sells, very polarizing. Another example of a company that's going up that the brokers aren't telling you to buy. You got to think, if they're putting this information out there for you to consume, I'd take it with a pinch of salt. Okay. But anyway, 20% growth. Well, there you go. Look at that, 20% compound growth. It's currently earning 10 cents a share, which this is odd. Okay, because we're actually here. Because it's just the December end. Yep, December end. So this is still a forecast. Okay. And there we go. So 7 to 10, and that's where your growth is coming in. So looking forward, there is a bit of growth in there. I'd happily pay, well, it's AMP, maybe leave that at moderate. Happily pay 15 for that. I just need to get the year end right. In fact, I'll probably go here instead. Not looking that cheap unless you considered it, say, low risk. Okay, that's up to you. And my job is just to give you the options and you decide what you want to do with those options. Let us keep moving. And now ADH here for Jeremy. Adairs, is that a buy? I'm going to be a broker record here, Jeremy, and I would say, look, until we deal with that, there for me, no. And the shape, you've seen me draw this over and over again. We need to like the Dow Jones at the start of this discussion, need to do something like that. So this will turn orange, it'll contract, it'll get smaller, it'll flip to green. I mean, there's so much more that needs to occur here. If you're looking for a bargain, that's not my style. So yeah, you're in the wrong place. If you're coming in here going, oh, Carl will give me a bunch of bargain buys. No, that's just not what I do. I'll tell you what looked like a bargain to me, and this is the kind of stuff I'm looking for, and I call these a bargain, is Element25, and it's just one that I tweeted about. I don't know. Go check my tweets, maybe about here. And I just thought, it's doing all of those trend change things. So for me, this is a bargain. All right. So this is the way I look at the world. This is bargain. All right. That's a bargain. This is not a bargain. All right. This is just, I've just got no idea. Right. So who am I to say? Right. And you go, well, wait a second, Carl. No, at 40 cents, it was a bargain, not at, 90 cents. I thought, well, I didn't know, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know the future. But what I can do is look for signs that the people who know more than me are starting to like this thing again. And we digress on Element25, don't we? But it's great because what a great case study. So just print that out, Jeremy. Stick it on your wall. And when Adairs eventually does something like that, and it doesn't matter, does it? They're just 3-letter codes. When you think about it, this is the way you need to tune your brain. They are just 3-letter codes, okay? And these are just pictures, and it just becomes pattern recognition. Think about what it means for you now, right? If you know what patterns work, who cares what those 3-letter codes mean, okay? They're just 3-letter codes. That is my philosophy, and I know there will be people out there screaming at this screen right now saying, hey, Carl, you bastard. You are just going against everything that is holy right now, because I tell you what, it matters what companies do. Okay, let us keep going. I've done Sayona, I've done SFR. Hi, Carl. Hi, Rosh. Been a while. Welcome back, Rosh. Hope you're doing great. I am doing great. Could you please have a look at EFE, STO, and WIN? All right, super fast. EFE. It's not terrible. I mean, I know this one, we got excited. I know a few people bought it because they said, hey, look, this looks really interesting. It was maybe on this day here. It hasn't done a whole lot. And you've got to remember this idea of just, when you see these little ones, just this is the way we're thinking, right? And then, right, when they get to here, right, X marks the spot, guess what you do? You go, bang, right? And then they're going to do something like this. They're going to hit here, and pull back, and boom, and they're going to throw that magic candle that I like to see in here, right? This one here, and boom, and then we go, plus 1/3, okay? And you're using this concept over 20, 30, 40, however many stocks look good, all right? You're not going, Eastern Resources is the one. This is the one I'm going to load up on. And when it goes from 4 cents to $400,000, man, I'm going to retire, right? Don't think of it that way. You're going plus 1/3, and then at some stage you go, I don't like the look of that, and then I don't like the look of that, and then I don't like the look of that, right? And you might find you end up, you might find you actually get a few more of these, right? So that your maximum setting on this particular stock ended up being 2 2/3 before you started getting rid of it. Okay, we're just looking for signals. We're just looking for patterns that say more demand than supply. It didn't do that, right? So at some stage you got to say, well, it's not the one, and boom, I'm going to go look at something else to see if there's any of these I can pick up. And if you start to move to this way of thinking, each and every stock in your portfolio almost becomes irrelevant. They're just like cattle. You are just herding bloody cattle, everyone, okay? And that farmer, the cattle farmer, all right, this is how inconsequential each cow is to them. I know farmers love their cows, but I tell you what, when it comes time to put those cows on the truck and to send them to where those cows are going, that farmer isn't going, oh, Betsy, Daisy, Cindy, Tinkerbell, no, Mr. Truck Driver, please, I've changed my mind. It's not how it works. He's patting them on the bum. Get on the truck, Cindy. On the truck, Tinkerbell. They're just cattle, everyone. Let us keep going. Santos, let's have a look at another cow. What a great segue. Santos is the ultimate cow of a stock. It doesn't look that bad. You'd almost buy it reluctantly because Wesfarmers is doing so well, but it is the poor Tinkerbell, isn't it? To this one, that's where the party's at. Look, I'm a happy holder on Santos. I just don't think I'd buy it. I have an aversion to Santos because it is such a dud company and it's been such a dud for so long. But hey, if the chart got much better, then I would buy it. In this space, I'm liking this one. I think this is starting to do all the right things. So if I had to pick between, let's say you already had Woodside, I'm talking to those people, this is the one I'd be looking to accumulate. I mean, as in right now, I'm happy to go boom, boom, right? That's it. Walk away, yeah, until you deal with this. So, all right, so we just added Cindy to the portfolio, okay? In fact, if it helps you, stop calling them Korean Energy and Wesfarmers. Call them Cindy and Daisy and Tinkerbell, all right? We just put a little bit of Cindy in the portfolio. That's it. And if Cindy does this, right, we're going to put a little bit more in, okay? And we might find that candle, that magic candle, I keep drawing them, right, in here. Yeah, that's the one. We see that in there. That's where we might do another plus 1/3 on Cindy. Now, you should continue to call the stocks what they are in the Q&A section, because if you all started calling them Cindy and Tinkerbell, I wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about. But for Korean Energy, this is the stuff. This is the way I'd be looking to play this. Plus, if I saw that, and then up here, plus. See how it's so irrelevant. Every individual trade becomes completely irrelevant to you, right? And some of them are going to win, some are going to lose. All that matters is en masse how your 20, 30, 40 stocks go. And some people say, oh, no, I only have 5 in your portfolio. Well, you're assuming you're going to pick the 5 best, which between you and me, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll bleep this out in the recording, is bullshit, right? There's a bit of a cow theme going on, isn't it, today? WIN, this looks good. I almost skipped this one because you've already had 2, Rosh. But I like this one. It's doing a lot of stuff we talked about. Actually, I like candles. And again, I'm going to say this, and then somebody will go out and buy it. They're listening to me, they go out and buy it. And then next week, I don't know, it'll do this, and they'll say, Carl, you bastard. You gave me a bum steer, right? To stick with the analogy. But I'd happily do something like that. Okay. I think this one's okay. Look, it's not clear sailing, and that's why it's not, you're not completely loading up. There's a little bit of supply in here. Yeah, there's a little bit in there. But I like what this is doing here. Is this the best one we've seen today? Look, let's see how we get to the end of the day. All right. And then I'll let you decide. I was going to say I'll come back and tell you, but I think you let you decide whether it's worth doing that today, or maybe, you let this one go through the keeper because it just needs to do a bit more. But that is a super interesting chart. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, Rosh. Okay, let us keep moving. How are we going for time? I never know how we're going for time. JL John's Lingo. Okay, super interesting. I'm glad we can follow this one up because we talked about this one last week, didn't we, John? And we said it was in the hold basket. It dragged itself back up to the hold basket, but wasn't a buy. And I said, look, these are the key levels. I don't think I'm going to change any of my analysis. I think it's a hold. I think the hold on the hold is becoming more tenuous. I don't want to see it close beneath there, isn't it? That's not great, but let us stick with these 2 levels. I think would be more sensible. But I don't like this one. You get just get it from the tone of my voice. It's not something I'm keen on because, you know, it's Iluka all over again, isn't it? And I reckon we might be forming a major point of supply here, which could then seed further weakness for John's Ling Group. Okay. So I would say be cautious there. Continue to be vigilant on that one. And I'm going to look at BPT. I know it's 2 for John, but it's because it's consistent with our discussion about Woodside, Santos, and Karoon. I deliberately didn't put BPT in that basket. Did you notice, John? I didn't put it in that basket. I don't think it looks as good as Karoon. So let us just go between the two. And here I am, you know, extolling the virtues of Cindy, but I don't know if I'm interested in Mildred. Okay. So just you answer your own question there, John. Just get on your charting package and go KAR BPT, KAR BPT, and this is what fund managers are doing now. It wouldn't be great if fund managers actually were that simple. No, they've done all the analysis. Like they've looked at every cell in their spreadsheet, right? And they've only got so much money that has come in this week that they're going to apply to an energy stock. And they're doing this, and they're looking. They're going, is it KR or is it BPT? Now they're not doing it the way I'm doing it. They're not going all pattern recognition. All right, they're looking at all the numbers. But this is the whole point of what I do, is that I let them do that hard work. They become part of demand or supply, and then it makes the patterns. Okay, so I would say pass on BPT and put more focus on Karoon. Now, of course, tomorrow BPT might get taken over. Hey, I don't know. Karoon might issue a profit warning. Hey, I don't know. But yeah, I've done Karoon. That's very nice. Doug saying, do I need an assistant? I should have assistance from somebody at Think Markets in Melbourne helping me out. Happy anniversary. Thank you, Rosh. Stay blessed, he says. Yes, thank you. And I'll pass that on to the wife as well. Hi, Carl. Have a look at the Lottery Corporation today, TLC. TLC. Oh, that, you know, it looks good. Yeah, I don't mind this, King. Happy holder on this one. And I know there's not much price action here, right? It's hard to do technical analysis on this one. But yeah, you know, high peaks, high troughs. Oh, there's a bit of action in there, isn't there? We slipped on one, didn't we? Maybe it's a bad day in the market, but only to come down and hold on to this level, which is good because you can see how my short-term trend works again, supporting price. Yeah, it's all good. Look, no issues. I don't think I'm a buy just because of this. I just think there will be easier things out there, surely easier things out there than fighting the probable supply we're going to see at that level, and then the undoubted supply we're going to see at that level. So yes, I think there's something going on there, some good stuff happening on the demand side. Supply is backing away, but maybe only just to reassert itself in either of those two zones. So happy holder. Don't think I'm a buyer though on that one. Wesfarmers includes a lithium project, says Doug. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe that's why it's getting it's got a bit more impetus to the upside. And we do have some earnings growth coming in there. AGY, says Michael. Let's have a look at yours, and then I'll get back to Cherry Blossom on the YouTube stream. I know I'm streaming to Twitter. I know that for a fact, but I don't know if Twitter people are tweeting at me. And yeah, it's under about 30 different things. Oh, people are tweeting at me. Wonderful. So Danny, I'm going to do your A11 and GLN as well. Okay, so let us do the AGY first. So this looks really good. Hey, so this is for Michael. So this is up there, you know, for all, you know, pattern recognition. I think I need to say less and less as each session goes on, don't I? Surely. Yes, there's some supply in this zone, and it seems to be dealing with it. So you can see how this time, like it got to the supply zone, it wasn't very confident, wasn't it? There's your. Well, I'm going to go MPOS here. All right. And were they confident this time? Like, did they hit that and go, you know what? You know what, supply, get ready because, you know, we're coming. No, they just kind of, okay. We need to regroup again, don't we? The demand needs to come in. The chat rooms need to serve their purpose and, you know, get everybody into a fervor again and create that demand in the system to push through and convince some other people not to sell. But it's getting there with a little bit more, you know, confidence, I would say this time. But let us see. Let us see how it goes at 60. And then, you know, the candles I like to see in here. And then I could certainly upgrade it to a buy. Absolute hold, happy holder on that one for you. I keep forgetting Michael. Thanks, Michael. Andrew, hey, Carl. I hope things are going well for you. No stocks other than ATC looks interesting. Andrew always has some good stuff. So let's go to Andrew's ATC. It does look really interesting. Alltech. Yeah, happy holder there. I think the guys here and the guys and girls here mean business though, and then up here. So again, it's trying to find stuff which there's enough room on these turnarounds to get some decent profit on the board before you have to worry about selling. Happy holder. I'm not sure if I'm a buyer on Alltech just at this stage, Andrew. I promised I would do the YouTube ones before I go to the Twitter ones. So this is Cherry Blossom. Cherry Blossom's asking for Linus. Great. Linus, I've been really bearish on Linus, and it's not like it shot the lights out, to be fair. And if you sold based upon any of my utterances over the last few months, you haven't missed out on much. But it is starting to look better. So the message here is I'm less bearish on Linus. So I know a few people do love this stock, and I'm less bearish on it now, if that makes you feel better. This level looks like it's holding for all intents and purposes. We've gone back to green here. This is up. Yeah, the only problem is this. I know I'm broken record, but I don't make the charts, right? We're in a bear market. Of course, you can have a bunch of this stuff here, right? You didn't hear me talk about this stuff. Oh, there should be a Y there. You didn't hear me talk about this stuff over here, right? Because they didn't exist. We get the market we get. So there is supply overhanging all over the place. I'm happy to go hold on Linus now. So I'm going up to hold from sell. Okay, and I'm sure we will want to see something like this very quickly. This will be the last one I'll do on the fundamentals today, and then I'll just go exclusively technicals to get everybody's stock covered, at least covered on a chart today. So Linus, I know it's a very popular company. We have 9 estimates. It is polarizing. Look at that. 1 strong buy, 5 buys, 2 holds, 1 sell, 1 strong sell. 1 strong sell. We have to go back to the June financial year. So this one is in the bag. And again, I was going to say again, we're seeing peak, but not. We're expecting whatever they're doing at the moment to come online. I know they do have another production plant in Kalgoorlie where they're going to be processing the rare earths in addition to their Malaysia plant. And that's probably what this ramp up is about. And then the brokers, and this is not me, the brokers will say, well, commodity prices are expected to fall, not production, but probably commodity prices. Net, compound annual growth rate, but some lumpiness in there. You can see that in this line here of 8%, which is pretty decent, and certainly pay 11.7% for that. I don't know, high, low, I wouldn't have a clue for Linus. If you went low, yeah, it's not saying it's dirt cheap though. It's not exactly dirt cheap at this price for the growth that's in there, okay? And this isn't going to make it any better. The only thing that could make it more attractive to me, and this is my view of the world. This is not the broker's view of the world. This is my view of the world. Is if you were prepared to pay for that 8% growth, say 15. I have seen in the past I'd pay 15, but if I'm going to go 15 here, then I'm going to respect the fact it's a commodity stock, and I'm straight away jack that up to there, and probably say, look, it's not cheap, it's not expensive, it's about fair value. Okay, that's my opinion. This is my opinion, and everything else here is the broker's opinion. Okay, and everybody's opinion fits into that spectrum there based upon the cells they fill out on their spreadsheet. I think I've been pretty good with my changing the screens today. Let us go to, I'm going to do Westpac and Macquarie in about 30 seconds because they're big and they're boring and they're banks. I'd hold Westpac. I don't think I'm a buyer. This is the zone here that you need to be concerned about. If it gets through there, then, you might say, oh, well, if it gets through there, it's a buy. If it gets through there, look, it's one of those things that's probably not going to give you too many headaches until it does. I'd go hold on that. MQG, I've been very bearish on this one. I just think in the right market conditions, this thing can go to $100. And if the poop hits the fan, those will be the conditions for it to happen. Let me get rid of some of this other stuff here because I can't see what's going on. It's looking strong. It's probably more like Linus where I have been very bearish on it. It hasn't, not like it's gone up. It's probably about the same price as I told you to sell it. Maybe I could creep up to a hold. Look, if it gets above this and starts to turn that around, I could go hold. Now, look, until then, I'm actually going to stick with my sell rating on this one. Okay, I'm not all that keen on what I'm seeing here. Whereas Linus is attacking that trend zone. In fact, it went back to green, didn't it? So if you're saying, well, why'd you like Linus and you don't like Macquarie? There is a difference actually between the technicals on those two charts. Okay, let's do A11. It's not going to be there because it's a new stock. So if I go here, A11, Atlantic Lithium. Happy to hold that one, as you would expect. For Danny on Twitter, it's hard for me to do technical analysis on a brand new company, and because I don't know enough about it, I can't give you a great fundamental view, and the brokers aren't going to be covering it either, right? So there's no broker coverage, so there's not a lot more I can do, but say, look, based upon the few candles we have, I'm seeing a lot of demand in the system. There's a little bit of supply creeping in today. In fact, I should do an update, shouldn't I? Since we've been talking, we would have had an update coming through. And don't forget, I haven't said this yet today. These are live candles. The last candles are live. So everything I'm talking about based upon that last candle it's a moving target, and you need to keep an eye on how things close, and those things can change very quickly. There you go. More supply came in. Is it enough for me to start to manage my exit? It's too hard. It's not enough evidence there for me to say that. So I could go hold, but hey, if that candle got significantly worse, maybe you want to knock a little bit off the table. Otherwise, no. Maybe that's even a bit fanatical. So happy to hold on that one. The other one, GLN, which I know is looking very good. It's hit a little bit of a pocket of supply, but happy holder here. Yeah, this is one of the better looking charts we've seen today, without doubt. So happy holder on Galan, nothing too sinister going on there. And putting it in within the context of those other lithium companies we talked about today, yeah, it's definitely one of the better ones out there. No doubt you're aware that there is going to be significant amount of supply at this level, okay? But when I talked about this idea of having enough room in terms of profit before you get there, okay? So I'm happy with that one. Danny, okay, I think we're pretty good on those. I've done all the Twitters. I've done all the YouTube streamers. Let me finish the Zoomers, okay? So I'm going to just whiz through the charts very quickly now for everybody on Zoom, and I won't take any more on the other platforms. Okay, IGL, which looks amazing. IVE Group. This one is for Julian. I wonder if you're, I can't remember everybody every week, but I know somebody has been consistently asking about this one. Maybe that's you, Julian. But yeah, this one looks great. Looks, no doubts about it. This is amazing. This is the best chart I've seen today. Like, it's just a monster. Would I buy it here? I'd like to get him closer to here, but it's fine. Yeah, I'd be going at odds with everything I believe to tell you not to buy it here. Let's just make sure the candle closes at least here or better. So the current close of 264 needs to be maintained, because the risk is if you run out and buy it now with the candle still live, okay, you end up with something that ends up looking like this, okay? That candle that we can see live right now turns into, and it won't look exactly like that. It'll look, let's say it closes on the low, for example, and that comes down to them. I'm trying to draw it about the same, if you can imagine what it would look like, and then this would be, say, filled in. Don't know why that didn't work, because I didn't do this one. There we go. So we don't want to see that candle turn into that candle, and this is why I think you need to wait to the close. But otherwise, it looks amazing. Thank you for that one, Julie. And I've done for Ajit, I've done CXO. I haven't done RNU, so let's do that second one for you. How many companies have we seen today that look like this? They were heroes, right? They were heroes at the start of the year, all over the chat rooms. Everybody was just so enamored with lithium and rare earths and graphite, whatever the hell this one does. I think it's a graphite company, correct me if I'm wrong. And then they went quiet, and so many of them are still quiet. This one is starting to make some noise, okay? Well, talk about noise, I'd love to see a little bit more volume. But look, assuming it closes here, everyone, on the candle, I'll give you the number in a second. I'm happy. This one, we looked at Widgie Nickel, didn't we, earlier on? And we said, oh, maybe we'll come back at the end, we'll review that. Look how that candle changed on Widgie Nickel. Look how that candle changed. Look how it actually pushed higher since we talked about it. Got close to the supply zone, and now it's backing off. Okay, this is why you have to respect the live candle, okay? Assuming it stays, and I reckon this closes, okay, so 25 or better, close to 25 or better, I'm happy to do that on this one. I like that one. Renascor Resources looks really, really, really neat. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Ajit. Let's do TLG. Now, this is one I've traded personally in the past, okay, where, through here. Go check my tweets. I was all over that one, and I haven't done a whole lot. I think, to be fair, actually, I think I called it a buy in Ask the Experts on this day here. Go check the tapes, and hopefully you got out in the supply zone after it did all that stuff. But yeah, what now? No, I think there's too much stuff going on here and then here. look, this could be where it starts the next run to $2. But no, I don't think that's the one today. Not today. 29M, which we've looked at this many times, haven't we? I think it's okay. I'm worried that you might get that that next major peak forming sort of here, and you just end up with something like this, because I do feel that this area here is pretty significant, and I don't think I want to fight that in this trend. Okay, not terrible. I can certainly go hold on this one, but I don't think I'm going to get to buy on it. Okay, thank you, Helen. Good afternoon, John. Thanks for putting this program on. Pleasure. Please may I have your thoughts on ABB, Aussie Broadband. Okay, there you go. Hold it if you got it. I don't think I need to change it from last week. It's getting better. It's doing some of those turnaround things at the short-term trend zone, but it wouldn't be until it got to the long-term trend zone that I would get really excited. So yeah, if you're holding on the basis of last week's message, then no reason to change that this week. WBT looks very interesting, and I traded this one. Guess when I traded this one? Same time. That's how I know it. Same time as Talga. And then look at this. It's like they are the same stock. They've got the same chart. This one is doing much better though. It has taken out this thing here. That's very interesting. And there's a little bit there, but then the next one's there. So it's actually dealing with this. So the next one's there. Look, this is really interesting. Definitely would pop back onto my watch list, Warren. I don't think I'm a 1/3 today, but it's got my attention. Okay, it's got my attention. I would keep an eye on it. And, if it does, the candle I like to see around that $3 mark, the long lower shadows, white candles, that's when I think you're looking at it. So you're just checking it over the next few days and just looking for that good price action in that zone. And then I'd happily add a third on that one. NST, we are very close on time, everybody. We looked at this one as a potential turnaround play a few weeks ago, didn't we? Yeah, it's doing all the right things. So happy to stick with that thesis of hold/buy. It's a long way away from the zone, so I'm not sure if I'm straight out buy today. But buying pullbacks I think is okay, and then your big supply zones there, and it's miles away. So yeah, happy holder on that one, Carlo. No issues at all. And then BGL, another gold stock, is not quite there, isn't it? You can see the big difference between the two, and maybe BGL does something like NorthernStar, but I just can't see it in that. And it's a bit more like when we looked at Talga Group compared to Weebit. Okay, and this is the same as NorthernStar versus BGL. So it's a pass for me on BGL. It's still very much, I think, beholden by this downtrend here in the supply zone. Gold's starting to look better. Don't get me wrong. We looked at another one we liked, not that one, Respit, couldn't be further from gold. It's Ramelius. Okay, good. I'm glad this is on. So this is one we pitched 1/3. Okay, and if there's just cattle, you're feeling this, right? You're feeling, well, I can have a crack at this, right? And you say, hey, Carl, it's a long-term downtrend, you bastard. You're giving me a bum steer again, right? You told me not to buy them. You know what? If you're only thinking in terms of just a third, if you see the price action you like, right? This is changing. We're taking a cheeky little sneaky, and that's what we said it was, a cheeky little sneaky trade on this one, adding some risk to see where it goes. We might find we don't add, we have a history with this on going forward, a future history of this, where by the time it does all the stuff we want at that long-term trend zone, we might be up to say +1 and 2/3 by then. Okay, but a cheeky little buy on that one. So we're talking gold. I think Ramelius still looks really good. I can't think of any other gold stocks going to keep moving. Helen's asked about NorthernStar. I think they are in the recovery. So I shouldn't say Helen. Hanelli. Welcome, Hanelli. I haven't spoken to you before. They're on the road to recovery. The golden road looks resistance at 8. Just to answer your question, no support at 8, resistance probably 10, the round number. There's a little bit maybe in here you can see from that trough, but happy holder there. Patrick says he's holding Woodside further upside. Look, if you are a nervous Nelly, because we are in the shadow of $40, I don't mind doing this, all right? And for no other reasons, $40. The trend is fine, but only if you're a nervous Nelly. Otherwise, I'm a happy holder, okay? But make no mistake, this is stuff I pay attention to, and it seems so absurd. Like, why would you bother with something as ridiculous around number? Values are based upon their market capitalization and their earnings. Round numbers are meaningless, Carl. Yeah, okay, says you, all right? But you do it your way, I'm doing it my way. that would be the only thing that worries me. And what you find is that you often find, you know, if it, do you want to do that? I want to keep that one red. Okay, and then I want to make the next one green. So I'm going to find 30. There's 30, all right? And let me find 20, all right? Oh, no, Carl, round numbers have nothing to do with it. Right, well, I beg to differ. Now, let us finish this one off. BML. So actually, I forgot to say, stop typing any more in. I'm not going to get to the bottom of this. Look, I'm going to do 3 more, and then I'm going to pull it. Apologies if you didn't get your question answered. Okay, so let's go to, oh gosh, there's some good ones in there. Just trying to find where I was up to. WDS have done a BML. Okay, super quick. Okay, I'll get to the bottom. Don't type any more in. Seriously, I know what the last one is, and this is going to go super fast. Okay, and I'll just give you buy, hold, sell on them. Just get my place again. Okay, BML, Pilbara Minerals. Happy holder. Is it a buy? Wait for a pullback, wait for the candles at maybe about 30 cents. Okay, so this area should now act as demand and in there, but it's got my attention. Absolutely happy holder. Not sure if I'm a buy. Need to see it pull back. Rather buy the pullback, rather see some supply come out, because as you're going up, you don't know where the supply is until you see it. Okay, and the supply is not the end of the world. It just means somebody's taking some profit. That's fine. Let them take the profits and then see how the demand side responds. So happy holder on that one. Let us go to Atlantic Lithium. We've done. WeebitNano we've done. This is good. I don't have to do them again. Qantas. 100% hold / buy. That is a monster. And I know why it's a monster. I just had to book some flights and they are gouging the hell out of me. So I guess you'd better buy Qantas. VUL, no, I don't think that's the one. We looked at a lot of lithium plays today, and that is not the most inspirational chart we have seen. So I am a pass on that one. It needs to do some work there at that long-term trend zone. White candles, high peaks and troughs. Okay, before it starts to look good again. Maureen. Thank you, Rupam, saying he's learned some incredibly valuable lessons today. Wonderful. CY5, I know this one's popular. Yeah, it's still a monster. I'm a little bit, I don't know. So when you see that, right, confirmed by that, and then that, oh, nervous Nelly stuff. Nervous Nelly. Now, assuming this candle closes, now that low there is 54 or worse. Okay, 54 or worse. Nervous Nellies are doing that. Okay, let's see how that plays out next week. Ciro, let's see if Ciro is still pumping. Look, you've got one candle there, but it wasn't backed up. The supply didn't back it up. If anything, demand came back in today. I'm a happy holder on that. It's just so far away from the trend zone for me to call it a buy, but certainly a happy holder on that one. No nervous Nelly there. CTT, oh, magic. Okay, as far as turnarounds play, I showed you Element25. This is the textbook turnaround play, and we started talking about it in these sessions somewhere down here is what I reckon, maybe even earlier, maybe even here. 100% hold. In fact, I'm still happy to buy this one. It looks amazing. This is the textbook perfect turnaround play. Okay, print this chart, which is really just a pattern, isn't it? It's just a picture, right, that you need to tune your brain into. Print it out and stick it on your wall wherever, won't fix that, wherever you do your analysis. Okay, let us keep moving. SFX breakout candles. Yes, better. Oh, look at this. We've got some markings here. I think we need to delete those. Yeah, it's definitely up there. A buy. I would go 1/3 here, assuming the candle closes as good as it is. We've seen so many, as I said, that are still in this phase, but when you get that, that's when you can start to participate again. So happy with that one for Barry. NHC. So now look, here we go. There. So okay. So on Tuesday, I said, we're selling coal. I said we've been trimming for a little while, but I said, at most you've got 1/3, and then the almighty rally on a bloody buyback. And I can't foresee the future. Didn't know. The day after I said that, they're going to announce a buyback. But this is what I expected to happen. Okay, believe me, I'm not just making this up because they've got this big black candle. This is totally what I expected to happen, is to make this lower peak here. All right, so what we've got now is this wonderful setup for you last 1/3ers, and for people who had trimmed and said, Carl, you bastard, told me to sell New Hope, and now it's going straight back up. Okay, so we've got this. I reckon this is going to end up being an MPOS. It is a POS, and then we've got this, right? And then this is and then here's your last third. So what this is, why I'm so excited is this is where our involvement with New Hope ends. Okay, beneath that, if you're nervous, Nelly, if this confirms today, you might want to go a little early, and it might still go back up, but we'll start again. We'll start fresh, like we've never traded before, and then we'll start on the basis of adding 1/3 back in. Okay, but I think this is, yeah. I'm not saying if today confirms tomorrow, then you don't have to wait for the break of that. That's what I would suggest, but this is totally what I expected was going to happen. I know there's a dividend in there, but the dividend was this day here. Everybody keeps saying, hey, Carl, there's a dividend in there. That dividend day was there. It didn't drop on that day. It actually held firm, okay? So that price action goes up there, and this price action is not dividend related. It's still valid, okay? So it'd be important we don't finish today without our coal review. Of course, we've done our lithium review. There it is again. So, you know, we're trimmers. We're holders of a little bit if you have to, but we know where now that key pod is right through there, where it's all over. It's all over Red Rover for these companies for the time being. TER, of course, it's already, you know, this is the weakest of the lot of them, and YAL already did it. Okay, there's no reason for me to want to be involved in those last two. I would suggest that's it. Hey, and you know what? If you made some money out of it because you got in early, wonderful. If you're losing some money because you got in later in the story, just move on. Let's find the next one. Is it a buy on? Is Amelia putting me to task here? Is it a buy? No, it's not a buy. I don't think it's a buy. No, I'm still sell. I'm still sell rating on this because of that. But it is moving more towards a hold than a sell. Okay, but it's not a buy for me. CRR. Yeah, this is a great one to have because it really does epitomize the pattern recognition. So I want to show you this, and then I want to show you this. All right. So I want to show you this CRR, and it's not doing what it should, and then with something that is. But the bit from here to here is exactly the same. It's just the bit here is not. Okay. So that's a pass from me. I think that one's in trouble legit. I'm not going to comment on what you said there, Andrew, because I better not. ASX. Treat the ASX like a computer game. Absolutely, that's the way you should. And so this idea of treating it as a computer game is an analogy I've used before. And really, your account balance is just like your score in the game, right? You're just trying to get a high score. Maybe that's not good because we get emotional about our computer games. I don't know if you play the old computer games, you do get pretty emotional, and once you lose, you want to go back and beat the game. Maybe I'm not liking that analogy so much. DTL, because we don't want to get emotional, we don't want to get angry at the market and then go back and beat it, because the market will beat us every time. I saw like this still happy hold. I know we've talked about in the past. Nothing so sinister there as to suggest that you need to manage your exit just yet. This is not a great candle, but we are showing some demand coming back into the system where it should be. The old MPOS, and that is a significant MPOS, is now acting as a pod. So that's there for you, Andrew, different Andrew. And LOL on the cattle analogy says Rupam. Thank you, Rosh. Doug, secondary career in stand-up comedy. No, I don't think I could make it in stand-up for you, Doug. Serious question from Kinks. Serious question. How many cows should a farmer have? There's no limit. Now, this is a really serious question. No, it's whatever deserves your capital, King. And this is why I say use small amounts so you can spread it wide and far. Okay, and when you have small amounts, so if you have everything in 2 or 3 stocks or 5 stocks, it means too much to you, and it's hard to do the right thing. If you have a little bit in lots of stocks, they are just like cattle, and then it's easy to do the right thing. Cut that one, switch it over here. Okay, it does matter in the fact that in the sense that you shouldn't have a limit. I think that's ridiculous, because who's to say that your limit is 20 and another great company comes up? Well, don't invest in it. No, I think you've been fed a lot of bullshit over the years, and you need to sift through some of that. I think we've done those two. Yes, CTT and E25 are the best charts today, says Rupam. Hopefully we've got them. PPS, he is saying, yes, I would lump that in that category. That did come up on my scans not that long ago, and a happy holder there. I think that one looks very, very good. PWH, I'm trying to get to RWC was the last one. PWH. This is not great. This is not great, but still, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, Jen. I'm going to hang on, okay? Otherwise, it looks amazing. It looks like that IVE or IGL group. How about Zip? Zip? Not yet. No, a bit like the Novonix, there's a bit more work it needs to do. I got excited, to be honest. I did get excited about this, but I was shocked, actually. I was actually shocked at how committed the supply side is here. So it's not a Novonix. I'm not looking at this going, well, I want to own it at some stage. And Novonix is starting to look a bit like Zip, unfortunately. And that's the great thing about not buying something until it starts to do the right thing. Don't just buy it on a hunch. Ramsay Healthcare, look, it's getting more towards a hold than a sell, but no, I'm not going to change my view as a sell. And we've done the rapid fire. That is where I promised I would end it. Let me quickly go back to the PowerPoint, because it's important that I reminded people who are either on Twitter or the streaming on YouTube, come and join me next week in the Zoom. I think it's more stable, but that's up to you. And I tend to answer those questions more because it's hard to work over 3 platforms. But hopefully your question got answered. That's where you register, www.thinkmarkets.com/au webinars. If you are not aware of Think Markets, hey, we are the good guys in the Australian broking scene. You can trade your self-managed super fund, $8 flat rate per trade, and it's CHESS sponsored. Make sure your super fund is CHESS sponsored and you're not aggregated with everyone else, so you know they are your shares. On the other side, if you wanted to trade any of those indices, we talked about the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ. We talked about natural gas starting to look very, very interesting. We talked about maybe crude oil going up. You can trade them with CFDs. If you don't know what a CFD is, that's on you. You should know it. So get out there, get educated. And the other thing is, if you do like to trade shares, you can do them commission-free using CFDs. It is a leveraged product, so make sure you do your research into www.thinkmarkets.com. Just about us. We are an award-winning broker. We've been around for a long time. We have offices all over the world. We're not a small fly-by-nighter. There are many of them out there. Offices all over the world, regulated all over the world. Over here, it's by ASIC, and we are based in Melbourne. I'm over here in Perth, of course. World-class trading apps on your desktop or mobile, dedicated account manager. You will get to speak to a real person when you call us, and they will help you out, and you'll get to know them, and they'll get to know you. thinkmarkets.com/au for details. If you're watching me on the YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching me on Twitter, hit the follow button, because I'm always tweeting stuff out there. And make sure you hit the like button either way to let me know you like what I'm doing, so I continue to do more of it. That's it for me today, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the session. All the best to your investment.